at a restaurant is where most people think their fat loss falls apart, and it doesn't fall apart at the restaurant, believe it or not. It falls apart before you even walk in because you showed up with absolutely zero plan, not a budget around your calories, and a whole day of calories that was already spent. Today, I'm going to show you the exact system that I use with my clients as a registered dietitian and coach to eat out, hit your protein targets, and still stay on track, including the very same app or two that I use to pull the numbers for almost any restaurant on earth. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Andres Ayesta. I'm a registered dietitian and your favorite performance coach. Here's what I do here. I teach people tracking systems, frameworks, and tools to be able to build the right strategies so you can actually hit your health and wellness goals, particularly weight loss and fat loss. I have worked with people at all levels, from pro athletes in their peaks to CEOs and high-level executives to mom and dads who are just really trying to stay healthy and get rid of the extra 20 pounds that they're holding on. I take complex information and I try to simplify it into things that you can honestly use every day. Now, this very restaurant system I'm about to teach you is exactly the type of system that we teach our clients inside of our Blueprint program, which is our 4-month aggressive, comprehensive, directed program that almost guarantees not only that you're gonna be able to lose 20 pounds sustainably, but you wanna make sure that you're keeping that off. Now, let's get into today's topic. Let's clear something up first. Restaurant food is not necessarily bad food, at least from the perspective of, you're not gonna be able to lose weight. I always say that it's gonna make it harder because you don't have a whole lot of control of what's being served on your plate. And today, the tracking process and the apps that I'm going to be showing you, they're not gonna show the exact numbers because at the end of the day, you're not the one cooking your food. But here's what you gotta understand about most restaurants. And the reason why I feel like it's really difficult to lose fat when you eat out a lot. They're not really optimizing for your macros and your calories. They're optimizing for flavor. And flavor mostly comes from two things: fat and salt. That's why most mainstream restaurants and fast food places typically run high on fats, typically high on carbs, high on salt, and the only ones that reliably run high in protein are typically going to be steakhouses and meat or fish places where the actual protein is the entree. But still, that runs your fats and therefore your calories pretty high. Of course, there are restaurants that are typically going to be health focused and do care about, nutrition and all that, but at the end of the day, they are targeting a specific niche of people, and you don't always eat in those places all the time. So when you walk in blind to restaurants, at least the mainstream ones, you're walking into food that is built to taste really good. That's why you went to the restaurant in the first place, not necessarily to fit your calories on a daily basis. And that's not necessarily that you have a problem with your discipline. You just essentially don't necessarily know how to plan around this. Now, here's how it usually goes wrong. You eat freely all day, and then you get a call, or your wife or husband calls you, and you're like, hey, let's go to a restaurant tonight. Well, first of all, that was very off the cuff. There's no really planning around that. But then you hit a restaurant at night, unprepared. Maybe there's even a happy hour time, and you get 2 drinks for one, or free appetizers, whatever is the case. If you already spent most of your calories throughout the day, the odds that you overshoot your total for the day are basically a lock. So we try to get ahead of it. If you know there's a dinner out or lunch and that's coming, or there's even a chance of one, you plan the day around that. For example, for me, it's Fridays, and Fridays for me in this household, pizza is a ritual. So I plan my days around that. And please, here's one mistake everybody makes, and it boils my blood because I don't like people that do this, is do not fast just to save room, because this is a typical classic holiday move. Thanksgiving, for example. I won't eat all day so I don't blow my calorie. The problem is when you show up starving, you're not eating from a place of hunger. You're eating from a place of you're starving. You eat with your eyes, not necessarily with your logic. And you tend to overeat way past what you actually saved in the first place. Having food throughout the day is what keeps you in control at the table. So I'm gonna share with you guys 2 strategies, and I'm gonna walk you through the process literally here on screen so you are able to manage your calories more effectively. The first strategy we're gonna be going over today, we call it P and V. P stands for protein, and V stands for vegetables or veggies. Now, why those two? Because protein and fiber are the two most filling things that you can eat. When you build your day around protein and vegetables, you get a huge volume of food with very few calories. This is a volume concept, and that's something I teach often to help you keep full throughout the day. Here's what that buys you. 3 things. Number 1, it manages your hunger so you don't show up starving. Number 2, it front loads your protein, which matters because most restaurants won't get you there for the most part. Some of them would. And 3, it leaves you a big calorie budget to actually enjoy a restaurant meal without having to order the saddest, healthiest thing on the menu that you know you won't enjoy. And people will make comments, oh, it's because so-and-so is on a diet. I hate that. You eat a lot of food during the day. You just eat lower calories and higher protein. You eat a volumetric style of eating, which means you eat a lot of food in bulk, but not necessarily condenses a ton of calories. And then you spend the room you saved on the meal that you actually want. And I'm literally gonna show you today how you can order Chick-fil-A or a burger or something like this without having to affect the ability to hit your calorie targets. Here's the second strategy, and has 3 parts. Part 1, you gotta pre-log the day before it happens. I'm gonna walk you through how to do that. When you made a decision you're gonna go to a specific restaurant, you're going to save a specific slice of your calories towards that. You set that budget on purpose before you're hungry, before you're staring at a menu at a place with people. Now, to find the numbers, this is the second piece, I use an app called MenuFit. This is not a sponsor, I promise. I just think it's a great tool. You can search basically any restaurant in the world, and I'm gonna show you exactly how it looks like and how to work it. You can pull a solid amount of macro data on the menu, so you're not necessarily guessing, you're planning against real estimation of numbers. I don't necessarily think those are gonna be exact, but they're pretty close approximations. And that's exactly how you do the whole thing. Now let's be honest about the numbers so your budget makes sense. The average restaurant meal is at least 1,000 calories. And that's before the actual meal even shows up. I mean, if you think about a Mexican place, there's chips. If you go to an Italian place, there's bread. There's always something. Now here's the thing. Some restaurants, particularly the chain restaurants, the big, national ones, they're required to post their nutrition information. And they have made a big push towards adding calorie-friendly food options on their menu, but they usually still land between 400 to 700 calories. That tells you pretty much everything. If the light option is 400 to 700 calories, the rest of the menu is probably gonna be running anywhere between 900 to 2,000 calories plus. Don't even get me started on places like the Cheesecake Factory. Now here's the honest version. You might actually go over, but with the system, you may go over a little instead of a lot. This can be a difference between going over 300 calories above your budget to actually blowing your calories and consuming 3,500 calories in one specific day. Or in other occasions, let's say you're traveling and you're eating in restaurants because of work, you can actually stay right in your macros if you're smart about it. I'm gonna literally demo this whole entire thing. But before I show you the live walk, if you're getting value out of this, I would love to ask for a small favor. I have a small account or a small YouTube channel as of right now. We have mere 6,000 subscribers. I would love your support. If you enjoy this type of content, I would love you to do 3 things. Number 1, hit the like button if you like this type of video. Number 2, if you really like my type of content and you like the way I talk and all, hit the subscribe button. And the third thing is share it with somebody that you think could benefit from this information. The subscribe is so you don't miss any future videos from me, and the like is just so more people actually can find this. This is the kind of stuff that I break down every single week, I promise. All right, let's actually show you how I do this. Now, to be able to do this, I'm actually going to pull up my phone and I'm going to walk you through the process. And we're going to start the day with, let's say, 1,800 calories as a budget. And we're going to focus on 2 numbers first. We're going to do a basic version if you're a person tracking calories and protein, which for beginners and tracking, I do recommend that. There's tons of videos I've done on this before. Or the advanced version when you're tracking macros and you're really trying to balance those out. So let's get right into it. Okay, so you can probably see my screen in here. The first app we're gonna use is the one that I personally use for tracking, and for all my clients I use the same thing. Highly recommend it. It's called Chronometer. We're gonna open up Chronometer, and you're gonna see that I already set the targets. Again, if you need help on how to set stuff up like this and how to use an app like this and how to track and do all these different things, please check out some of my other videos I've done on this. I set a target of 1,840 calories. So I put that number because I feel like it's still applies to many women who are in a deficit, but also men who are trying to be a little bit more aggressive on their deficit. 1,840 calories, and we're gonna try to aim for 150 grams of protein. Now you're gonna see some things already logged for purposes of brevity in this video, and to try to make sure it's not too long, I already pre-logged some stuff, so I'm gonna walk you through it. The first thing I'm gonna walk you through, we're tracking calories and protein. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna implement that P and V strategy, proteins and veggies, so you can understand exactly what that looks like. We're gonna go through breakfast first, and we're gonna do 2 separate days with 2 different restaurants and 2 different different options for breakfast and lunch. So the first thing I'll do is I'll typically do something like an omelet or some form of egg meal. I will do more egg whites, so I'll get one of those cartons of egg whites and I will mix it maybe with one egg so that you have a little bit of flavor in there, a little bit of salt. I will throw in some spinach, some peppers. Maybe you can even throw in some berries. I didn't add that in there, so let's just say like blueberries, so we can add a little bit of color in there besides just that. And let's say we're gonna add half of a cup of blueberries. Perfect. That gives me, and that's pretty filling, 272 calories, 34 grams of protein. Sweet. Now we're gonna move on to lunch. Lunch is gonna be a big old salad. That's usually the way that I'm able to save a ton of calories for a dinner. I'm gonna do some romaine lettuce. I'm gonna do a good amount of a protein source that is usually lean. So I will not go for like a steak or something like this. I will go for either a fish, like a white fish, or like chicken breast. I love this brand called Bolthouse Farms because they have dressings that are really, really calorie friendly. I will throw in maybe some tomatoes. I'm even adding in there some Parmesan cheese for a safe measure on flavor, and you're actually enjoying that. Not only am I doing this, but I'm also adding a snack. And in this case, I'm throwing in some Oikos Pro. It's like a 23 gram of protein little shake. I love it. It's super helpful, super handy. So as you can see, a whole day I've logged 840 calories. I still have 1,000 calories left to budget that I can use for the rest of the day. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna now go into MenuFit, and I'm gonna show you exactly the way that I typically manage this. Now it's gonna ask you the first time you log into it, a bunch of questions about your goals and all that. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna find, I put my location on Tampa, Florida. That's just where I used to live. So I'm going to put in here Chick-fil-A. It doesn't matter which one. Now you can literally select the ones on the specific address. It finds a personalized healthy option. So here's what's cool about it. It shows you options that are best for you. The best for me are gonna be depending on the goals that you set at the beginning of the app setup. High protein, slightly better, and lower calories, or you can see all menu items, which is essentially just their entire menu. You can just simply select things on there. Right now, we're gonna use the best for you, and I'm going to go into best for me. What you can see here is it's gonna give you options based on the kinds of foods that are probably going to fit into your calorie budget. Now, not specific to the 1,000 calories, but I'll walk you through something interesting. Out of all these different things, the Spicy Deluxe is definitely an option with the parfait. That's pretty cool because it kind of tells you exactly what to order. Or maybe the Grill Club and a Mac. I think that's probably something that I would probably be more for. So as you can see, there's calories, proteins, carbs, and fats. Here's the hack. Here's what I'll do. I'll come into like my chronometer and I'll log this as just simple ads, essentially just total protein, total carbs, total fats, and I'll show you how to do this. We're gonna go to dinner. We're gonna go add food, and we're going to tap in carbohydrate, quick add. I usually just like start it at the very top, so it's something that I can always select easily. And I'm going to say, okay, how many grams of carbs does this thing have? 74 grams of carbs. So I'm gonna type in 74. I'm going to now search for protein. Protein quick add. I'm also gonna add a little star in there so it saves it. 48 grams of protein for that. And then we're gonna go to fat, and it's going to be 38 grams of protein for that. Now, I'm adding things as macros, and I realize this is the basic version. So if you didn't really wanna, or not necessarily tracking calories or carbs and fats, you can simply select calories, quick add, and protein, and that's the only things you just need to add on there. But you don't need to add calories in this case because auto-calculate it for you. Now, this says it's 750 calories. It's a little bit off, but it still kind of gives you a bit of an idea. So I added that specific meal, right? That I know I can order a Grill Club and some mac and cheese. And look at this. I'm still having about almost 170 calories left to budget for this. Let's say I'm in a mood for a good old Coke, and not the diet one. I'm gonna go and choose like a can of regular soda. You're still able to hit your calorie targets, hitting your protein targets, even going over by eating Chick-fil-A, a sandwich, a mac and cheese, and a regular Coke. This is just so you understand, like you can probably change it up a little bit. You can probably go and again, like search for not the specific things that it gives you, maybe the menu items, and you select the things. I'm gonna go through that in the second demo. But as you can see, I was able to literally do all this and still hit my calorie targets by choosing to eat in a restaurant, in this case, a fast food place. Now let's move on to the same 1,800 calories, but in this case, now we're going to actually set carbs and fat targets so you can see you may still go over or stay under in some of them, but at least you'll be able to plan accordingly to this. Okay, so this is the advanced version. So same amount of calories, but as you can see here on screen, now we have protein, carbs, and fats, and we have specific targets. And you can see how much remaining after I added the breakfast, the lunch, and the snacks. Now, I'm gonna walk you through what I logged in here for breakfast, lunch, and snacks so you can understand it was was a little bit different. I added a different type of breakfast, and I'm choosing Capital Grille, which is a very common restaurant all around the United States, as a good example. Now, because Capital Grille typically has a lot more higher protein options, then if I know this is happening, then I know I can probably be a little bit more lenient with my protein intake. And maybe I can choose something a little bit higher carb throughout the day. In this case, I'm gonna do a shake in the morning. I'm gonna combine some bananas, blueberries, some almond milk, and some whey protein. That's gonna give me 200, almost 300 calories. My lunch is going to be very similar, but in this case, I'm gonna change it up a little bit with the vegetables, but it's still going to be a salad bowl. And then as a snack, I'm gonna do some apples. So I'm actually having a higher amount of carbohydrates, but as you can see in here, I have a much higher budget to be able to play with by the time that I go to Capital Grille. So let's go to MenuFit again, and we're going to find that restaurant, Capital Grille. There you go. There's literally 4, close by. So here's one in Tampa. Typically finds the options that are going to be as best for me, but we're not gonna use this feature today. We're actually gonna go to the all menu items, and you're literally gonna browse like if you were browsing on a menu, and you're gonna see, okay, what sounds good. I can play around with literally 1,200 calories. Now, if you're tracking calories and protein, this is going to be a breeze for you and much easier. But because we're tracking carbs and fats, we need to be careful as far as what we're choosing. So I'm gonna go to, because we're typically, this is most likely gonna be dinner. Again, this applies to everything, dinner, lunch, whatever. So let's say, okay, we wanna do an appetizer. So I'm gonna go and say, okay, like let's try to choose something that is like kind of friendly. This is Wagyu steak tartare. That sounds phenomenal. We're gonna go for that. I'm gonna select it. And then we're gonna go to our actual main menu option. Or let's say we're gonna go with, let's say seafood. I'm really feeling seafood. Remember we selected at the steak tartare that was about 290 calories. So as you can see, these are options that we have in there that are going to be pretty friendly when it comes down to the rest. Let's say you can do the seared tuna, you can do the salmon. I'm really feeling the salmon, so I'm gonna go with that. You can see the total macros, and in this case, you can now see the total numbers. We're gonna log it just like that. So 65 grams of proteins, 40 grams of carbs. We're gonna do exactly the same thing. Now have favorites, so we can just say 40 grams of carbs. I think we said 65 grams of protein and 67 grams of fat. So fat is a little bit higher. So most likely that's going to blow it up a little bit, but then I'll show you how you can actually make adjustments around this. Fat, and that's 67. We're gonna add it. It's pretty in line with the 1,010 calories. Now, from the perspective of calories, we totally were able to still stay under it. Our carbs are a little bit on the lower side. So here's what we'll do. Like fat's a little bit on the higher, but let's say this is a day that you wanted to have a drink. You have almost 200 calories to play with. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, okay, you know what? I wanna have a drink. So I'm gonna do a black tie margarita. Now that's 200 calories. Typically alcohol, we're just gonna log it as a calorie option. So I'm gonna go calorie, quick, add, not carbs, it's calorie, and then 200 servings is actually 200 calories, what it should be. I'm going to log it, and look at this. Now, the breakdown of protein and carbs and fats is not perfect. But I'm still cool with this because I was able to still match my protein, my energy intake, and my protein remain a little bit on the higher side. Now, you can always delete the alcohol if you're choosing to kind of skip on that and add, let's say like yesterday, I added the Oikos, the 23 grams of protein option. So I can go ahead and add 1 serving, 23 grams of protein, and that's going to rise up my protein to almost the exact amount that I needed to have it by just going over my fats over a little bit, but then making up for the amount of carbs that I'm not having on that day. That's exactly how this works and how you're able to make it happen. So that's the system, guys. Eat proteins and veggies throughout the day, pre-logged and protect the budget for the meal. Use the real numbers instead of guessing, and you're not gonna be fighting the restaurant issue anymore. And you're still going to be able to hit your targets because you plan for it. Small edges, repeated over time, is actually what changes your body and your habits, not the restraint you have to summon every single night, sometimes feeling like you're on a very restricted diet. Here's the thing, if you're trying to YouTube your way into your fat loss goals, which is exactly why you're here, but you want real support, this is exactly what we do inside of our Blueprint program. It's a 4-month directed, comprehensive program built around nutrition, training, mindset, and habits to get you at least not only 20 pounds down, but also the person you you become in that process too. That allows you to keep that weight off. Using the system that we've developed and tested with over 600 to 700 clients over the years, there's a link in the description box to apply to a call directly with me. We'll map out a strategy for you and see if working together is actually a good fit. Now, if that's not for you and you just really enjoy this content and you want to see more stuff from me, make sure you hit and subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.